did mention that it's American football, but over here, and actually in a lot of places, people don't always know, right? So
Exactly, they do not know, and I would love to ask this question, but before that, the only sole reason to share this trailer was the message was of acceptance, because half of the time we do not accept people. You know, they can be in any shape, any size, and whatnot. But what I think makes you the real person is when you start accepting all the differences, and we yesterday even had a day of tolerance as well. So I think that's all what it is, and the sport itself is about discipline as well.
absolutely.
But
So
now, people over here in Pakistan, even though we go out in many other countries as well, sorry for showing off again and again, but what is the difference in American football and rugby?
Uh, as you said yourself, sports not only build your fitness and other stuff, it builds your character.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of camaraderie between a teamwork, and it makes you a better human being. So especially for rugby, it is famous all over the world that rugby builds character. American football compared to rugby, American football, you have more protections, you have pads, you have helmets. Rugby, we don't have any protective equipment. There is a lot of stoppages in American football. You have separate team for defense, you have separate team for offense, you have separate team for kicking. So imagine like 50 people on one pitch. So rugby, we have 13 players on a pitch. In rugby league, we have 13 players who plays without any protective equipment. We just need a ball. So
Okay.
That's it. And just start running.
Just start
And the
running.
difference between rugby league and rugby union?
Ikram.
I think the two main differences is that in rugby league you have 13 players on the park, and in rugby union you have 15 players on the park. That's the two main. I can go into other ones. For example, rugby union have a line-out, whereas rugby league has a scrum. Although rugby union has a scrum, but they have more players in the scrum.
All right.
You know, and the most significant part of the game is in rugby league you're allowed to get caught in possession. In rugby union, you're not allowed to get caught. Or if you get caught, there's potential of turnover. So they either kick the ball or they go into a ruck or a maul. They're the biggest differences.
Well, kicking that ball is even difficult.
Yes, it
Overshare
seems.
ball.
It seems difficult. Well, you're all professionals, so it shouldn't be that difficult for you guys. Okay, so now you were talking about the importance of having such a match and how it builds character and camaraderie, and you know this is the first game we're having. So, from the Pakistani side, like Ikram already mentioned that you know this is the first time we're having this kind of match, and rugby, like Shazad said, is not the most popular or kind of commercial sport within Pakistan. How did you find the players? How have you built your team to a level that you can put a competition up for a Italian national team? I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I have little faith, but you know, people want to hear like what's been
Are
done.
we that competent? That's what she's asking. Sorry for being blunt.
No, firing straight question is always
Yeah.
helpful. But being a Pakistani, this is, I'm sure, that we are a sports-loving nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is not that the sports we picked in one day or 1 month or 1 year. We have a history of sports. We have a great squash players. We have a great cricketers. We have great kabaddi players. We have a great wrestlers. So the legacy as a Pakistani, which we take into the sports field, is amazing. It is unlimited.
Exactly, and
That's
I can
a very
feel
good
it.
point.
I can feel it too, and I would love to be very honest over here. That is, for example, if one of their men falls sick, even though I haven't played rugby anytime sooner. So what, you know, for example, if they're going to tell me you just have to carry the ball and run, you
do it.
don't know how fast I'm going to run. I just run. I'm going to make a run. That's it.
Yeah, I guess it's that determination. But I mean, that's great. But then how did you make sure? Well, that's great. The attitude and the makes a lot of difference. But then you don't want players to get out there and then, you know, it's just over. So the training, the selection process, how did you, as a board, decide what the standard was?
I was coming back to your earlier question.
Yeah.
It take time. It took us around a good 5-7 years to establish Pakistan Rugby League. As a trust, we are registered, and there are a lot of issues. You know, the funding is always a challenge in Pakistan. But again, with the love of sports, with us, with Ikram, and with everyone, we always keep trying. We went to different parts of Pakistan. We established small team. We are still trying. It's a continuous process.
Yeah.
It will take, as a new sports with no financial benefit in it, it will take time. But as a Pakistani, it suits right to our mindset. We are big guys. I will not say that we are aggressive people, but we have a temperament to play this game. So there a lot of effort went
Very
in
well
this
said.
tour. We have a selection camp. A player from all over Pakistan came down, and
Wonderful.
we have a best possible team to give draft time
Wonderful.
to these gentlemen.
And
That's
the
why
other, I
yeah.
think the other word is passionate, not aggressive, passionate people here. So
And with that, I'll move on to Roberto over here. So, Roberto, you've seen how determined we are. And other than being determined, you know, as a matter of fact, I think me and Maha, being very Pakistanis, we are justifying the statement by saying that, you know, are you competent enough? What about you guys? Do you think that you guys can compete with our team as well?
oh well,
Well, the Italians, as always, they're very passionate about their sports.
that's something we all have in common.
As you have, as you were saying before, Italy are not in the World Cup after 6 years.
Yeah.
But it'd be like if we had a World Cup for
Rugby.
cricket
Yeah, okay.
and Pakistan weren't part of it, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
But it's actually good for us because it makes our sports a bit more known.
Yeah.
So our boys would want to win, which is the main thing. But the thing, and it's always about rugby. It's about playing and competing and meeting new people and connecting each other. Because in rugby, when you finish a match, you have a party altogether, which is called the third.
Yeah,
half.
all right.
Okay, excellent.
That's what I was already thinking. For example, even if I have to run against him, I'll probably be just staring him, you know, for 2 days prior to the match as well. That, you know, okay, watch out for me. I'm gonna come and hit you as well.
Okay.
So this kind of sentiment needs to be there, and having a party afterwards. But what do we call it?
The third half, we call it
The
in
third
Italy.
half. Okay,
The
the
third half.
Very
All right.
nice.
So that means that there are only 2 halves in the game.
Yes.
It's good.
Okay, so
You're on the ball.
yeah. Okay, so Ikram, like you know, this kind of you've played rugby. You know, you're established. We've covered your profile last time as well, and you have a lot of history and experience. Then you've been promoting it even in our neighboring countries. You've been everything that everyone's saying about the camaraderie and the partnerships between people and how. Rugby is there to be played on the pitch. The competition is on the pitch. Off the field, you guys are all,
We're friends.
rugby players together. So, how do you think this is going to go down on Saturday? Like, we're trying to build up the
Hype.
hype for the match.
Really looking forward to it, really indeed. And I'm very lucky that I know the Italians very, very well. In
Yeah.
fact, my team in the UK, we've travelled to Italy on a number of occasions, and Italy have come to the UK and we play them. And in fact, I'm an honorary member of the Italian Liga, Italian Football League.
Amazing.
So I'm honoured on 2 occasions. But my sort of loyalties lie with Pakistan
Yep.
on this occasion.
Yeah.
And you mentioned off the field, a lot of work's gone behind the scenes.
Yes.
And we still continue talking about the game, obviously our main focus, but the game and beyond, how we can work together, 2 nations, building our relationships together, bilateral arrangements with the youth as well, exchanging. What we lack in Pakistan in rugby league terms is competition.
Yeah.
The boys are playing against each other all the time, which is great. But the only way they're going to improve is playing against better opposition. So the fact that Italy have come to Pakistan is helping us to do that.
Yeah.
And we want to continue that. And we hope next year we'll invite other countries to come and build on those things.
Okay. Well, this was one thing I want to talk about, the future plans of the Pakistan Rugby League, because after a point there are some hurdles. A lot of sportsmen, a lot of people who are in certain sports come here and they say there's no support from certain bodies or certain people that should be supporting it. So how do you, we're painting a very positive light, so and which is great. It's always good to have the positivity. But do you think going forward it'll be as easy as it's been so far, or has it been easy?
Certainly not.
No.
We're under no illusions that it's going to be difficult. Back in the UK, my organisation, the British Asian Rugby Association, we celebrated 13 years last year.
Yeah.
Significant rugby league because 13 players in a game. And we've had our trials and tribulations, whether it's funding, whether it's bureaucracy, whether it's injuries from players or lack of competition. We're going to have the same hurdles in Pakistan, no doubt about that. But these boys have been playing and involved in rugby for so long. I think that experience to overcome these challenges, and we want challenges because if we don't have challenges, how can we overcome them?
Absolutely.
How can we learn from them?
Okay.
And Roberto, there's one thing which I would love to say on behalf of all the Pakistanis who are out there in the world. Thank you very much for coming over. Thank you very much for being the first ones to have faith in us, and it's going to be a fantastic
And
match. Even though I know that we're going to make you guys lose, it's probably all right. Thank
And
you very
also,
much.
no, because that's the thing. There's a lot of fear and doubt. When people come in, they have a lot of reservations because you mentioned about the image that Europe get.
We do, but so far, really, it's been fantastic. I only arrived this morning actually, but everything I've seen so far, it's great. So the service has been great, the hotel, everyone's just been fantastic. So sometimes maybe you don't have everything in order outside,
Yeah.
but once the people you feel they give you the love and the passion, that's all that
Amazing.
cares.
We love you, bro.
That's
Romance.
great. So now, I want to move on to Sahir. Did you?
But sir wanted to say.
Oh,
something.
Yeah,
sorry,
I was
yes.
saying Pakistan is well known for their hospitality.
Of course.
So if anything, these Italians are going to have a great time.
Yeah,
Amazing.
For sure.
exactly. So now let's move on to Sahir. Talking about the history and the efforts that are being put in. So for all those people, we're getting the definition of the difference between American football and rugby, but how deep is the history of rugby in Pakistan?
How deep is your love?
Rugby, as Ikram told you, there are two codes of rugby which is played in Pakistan. One is rugby union and
Yes.
one is rugby league.
Yeah.
If you go back, rugby union is dated back early 1900s when British were here. They used to play rugby union games. Rugby league compared to rugby union is a new baby. So in Pakistan, we are working on this for the past 10 years.
10 years, okay.
We put a lot of efforts. The growth is slow, but it's steady.
Yeah.
So we are targeting our target to get more youngster involved at the school level, get the grassroots level, get the kids into the sport, start playing, start a minor league of the schools. That's on the card. So
That's amazing. I think that's a really good way
But
to
why do you
go
think
about
that
it.
we are not still able to make a point on that table? Because I think that globally they're like under 13, then under 17, then under 19, then under 21s. Over here, it's like everybody's all together. Sorry, but
I totally agree with you. But in Pakistan, our passion is cricket. So even our national game, hockey, we are suffering. My request here, using your platform at the
Please.
PTV World, to all the corporate companies to get behind the other sports like hockey, squash, rugby. As soon as we have money flowing in, facilities at the grassroots level, kids will start playing and they will see their future in that sport.
But other than corporate organizations, I think we need to have a word with the Pakistan Sports Board too as well, because there's a list of priorities right in front of them as well. So what would you love to say to the Pakistan Sports Board? Because what I've seen over here, growing up in Islamabad, being born over here, that there's one rugby ground in F10, there are no stands, there are no facilities to probably even train your people. So it does get difficult at times, and then half of the people who play rugby over here in Islamabad, they come to the same gym I go to as well. So all they do is whatever they manage to do with themselves in order to train themselves. So why do you think that we still lack all of those facilities when it's 2017? And we have got an international director sitting.
Pakistan Sports Board, I will say that they were the keen supporter of sports in Pakistan, especially rugby. Being a new sport, they have provided a lot of support to us.
Okay, that's good.
In both courts, and for the rugby union and for rugby league, they were very kind enough. We need to understand that they have a little resources as well to manage all sports, all Pakistan. But again, things are moving. I agree the facilities are over here. We are working on it. At least we have a facility. If you go to the other places, they don't have facilities. We have dedicated rugby pitch in Islamabad. Again, thanks to the Italy Rugby, they came down to Pakistan. We are playing a match, Tariq Niari Trophy,
Yes.
on 18th November at Jinnah Stadium. I encourage everyone to come and support their team. As I said before, we need 25,000 people. So
Exactly, we
I
will be
know
there, but
Islamabad
ladies-
can do it.
Yes, they
And the
can.
more
Please.
fans,
Roberto.
it's better for you because our boys wouldn't be used to having a full stadium,
Yeah, gosh. So
Don't
guys,
worry,
you
we'll
need
be
to,
there.
we need to get the masses out to support our Pakistani team and the Italian team. Everyone to support the sport.
Exactly. And
But
before
now,
we go towards the break, there's one more thing which I wanted to say. That is that when we are going to come back, I just want to move on to Ikram Batsab over here, since he's the international director. He's witnessed. He's an honorary member. He knows what the trends are with the rugby trainings, or what type of facilitations we require. So why are we still lagging behind?
okay,
That's a
question for you. Okay,
Good
stay
morning.
tuned.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were in discussion with the Pakistan Rugby League for the international match that will be taking place tomorrow at Jinnah Stadium.
Yeah,
and,
sports complex.
Sports complex. And, you know, it is open for people. We will be sharing all the information at the end of the show, and we will be sharing it on our Facebook page. But Shazad had a very pertinent question that
It
he
is a
asked
very
before the
pertinent
break.
question, and I do feel sorry asking this question, but I think that this
We need
word
to.
needs to go out. And as an international director, Mr. Ikram Bhatt Sahab, I think you've got the most of the exposure being a rugby player yourself. And what we were talking about was with Sahir that, you know, we do not have that particular facilitation over here to train our teammates. Now, since you're the one who's an honorary member too as well with different teams, and then you've got that massive exposure, you might have been on those fields where legends might have played as well, and you know that, you know, how they train their people. How do you think that we are going to get the same equipment over here, and then we are going to get down to the grassroots level, telling the schools and convincing them to be on board? I think that was a better one to ask.
Was it a very good question? Thank you.
Roundabout.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the facilities that you have are some of the best that you have in this country. What we're lacking is rugby pitches, that's for sure. And we've already discussed that we only have one purpose-built in F10 that the Islamabad Gins play on. And the one that we play at Jinnah Stadium is not exactly a rugby league pitch, but it's accommodating the rugby league game, and that's good enough. However, as a country, as a government, as a sports body, we need to invest more into our facilities and provide more rugby pitches that the game can prosper. And whether that's talking to the government, whether that's talking to private organisations, public schools that we mentioned who have their own fields. But again, we need to get into their system and incorporate rugby in their curriculum for that to happen.
But it's always about a demand and supply, right? So do you think that there's enough demand to create more pitches?
The silly potential. We've been coaching for a number of years in Pakistan and demonstrating the fact that we've got a national Pakistan Rugby League team. Just demonstrate there is a demand, there is a hunger, and whilst there's a hunger, there is a need. And we need to provide that.
And also, you talk about, you know, to order for something to catch on, there needs to be a demand, but you can also create a demand. I mean, who said that we needed phones? You created it, you marketed it, and then people were like, okay, now we can't survive
That's where
without
private
them.
schools come in.
Okay,
Agreed.
so yeah, the
Agreed.
roles of the school. But the thing is, you know, you've been across the whole world, and you were, you know, like I mentioned briefly, that you've been to neighboring countries, you've been all over Europe, you're going everywhere. And the Pakistan union team, female union team,
Yes.
they played in
Yes.
3 international matches in UAE. Is that correct? Or that was just a female team?
It was a female team. They
Exactly.
played in a competition in the UAE. The Pakistan Rugby League team also played in the UAE.
Okay.
Just going back to the female team, it was the first time ever they took part in a national tournament. And that's tremendous.
Yeah.
And we hope to have girls playing the sports at all levels.
Okay, so that's the thing. So, you know, there is that slow kind of demand for it and the exposure for it as well.
Do we still have a rugby union team for females as well over here in Pakistan?
We do indeed.
We do? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
So
had
we've
some
come a long
requests.
way then.
We come
Absolutely,
along.
and the way it's 2 different sports, naturally,
Yes.
league and union, however, working in collaboration together
Yeah.
for the benefit of all those people taking part. And you'll get people who want to play union, want to play league, and want to play both.
Yes.
And myself, I'm a dual code international. I represented England at Rugby League, had the honour of captaining Pakistan at Rugby Union, and long may that continue.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Now, you're talking about the same question that started the role. We're talking about the role of the government bodies and all the different, the commercial. And now, we're talking about building the future for rugby. The role of the schools that you mentioned, you know, there's a lot of the private sector here. Do you think that, and within the private sector, you know, stereotypically we think they're more, you know, they're less ignorant, they're more exposed to the rest of the world. Why do you think that fever hasn't caught on of sending our children, like having schools, you know, there was a school team. I played
Watching
hockey,
rugby matches as
tennis,
well, yeah.
you know, inter-class matches, inter-school matches. We don't even have that with cricket that much. I mean, what's happening? Like you've been in the sporting world for a while. You'll be able to tell us.
Studying from the government school, at my time, at my early years, like in my teens,
Yeah.
we had this annual inter-school matches.
Yeah.
but right now the systems are changed. I guess it's not with the private and the government school. The culture of studies, the load of studies on the children is more. To get out of from that shell, the sports are not available at the school.
Okay.
My son studies like 8 hours a day at school, then he come home and he is more crazy about study and going out to play. So we need to change the culture back
Okay.
from private or government, so it will continue for the both parts.
Okay, so and I want to have the same question to Roberto. Like in Italy, you know, when we think of Italy, we think, oh, great sporting nation and football.
Why do you
and-
always take my words away?
Because you're always stopping mine.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. How is that in Italy?
Two great people think alike.
Once
I
you
know
don't
I
fight,
am.
you don't mind, you know? So, well, in Italy, yeah, it's true. We are a great sport nation, but we're having the same problem. And the way it should be, and the way I actually grew up as well, because I was lucky, my parents actually sent me to boarding school abroad. And what it was is every school, and it's actually a mentor that all the schools in England and Ireland have, the sports and study has to go together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not only together, because you develop as well friendship inside the sports team, and which will go into school and will go after for years and years afterwards as well. My classmates will have from school, I still have them now after
Yeah.
20 years.
Wow.
Same.
That's cool. And other than that, Maha, what I wanted to say was that it's not that, there are no inter-school competitions. It's like, for example, if we have a federal board, that's where we appear in examinations. So they'll have all the schools gathered up and then they will play all together.
Wonderful.
And then HEC, Higher Education Commission, all the universities, who are under them, they'll get together and they'll have a sports week as well. It is there.
Okay, then this is why
But
we're
the type
highlighting.
of sport or the style of sport is not actually very professional. This is what I would love to say about it, because when I was in my university, obviously I was a very sporting guy. I used to play basketball and then riding and then swimming. So now when we went to HEC, so HEC said there's no riding and no swimming, but there was basketball. So I ended up playing basketball and then ending up keeping all my friends in the team, but not the ones who deserved it. That's my bad as well. But this is where we go wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so the individual, yes.
Can I
please.
come in there?
Please.
Talking about systems,
Yes.
and mechanics within the school curriculum, and the
Mechanics.
education program. We have the same in the UK,
Yeah.
where the lack of emphasis on school sports, particularly in the primary schools, and that's where I learnt my rugby is at primary school level, and so we want to encourage that over here. So it's going to take a bit of time. You know, Roberto mentioned about the sports and academia come together. The fact is that if you're involved in sports and activity, you're going to progress within your academia. So we need to,
Absolutely.
you know,
Hand in
instill
hand.
that into our parents. The teachers know that, the staff know that, but the government emphasis on their work and demands on them, sport is coming down to
Okay.
tier level.
Roberto?
And the other good thing is about putting sports into schools is that you could even have 3 or 4 different sports. And kids, the more sports they play, and that's actually better because they get all different activities. And a lot of sports can combine together. As league and union are actually combined together because it's very similar, as we said it before. Other sports are like that, as you can put maybe in cricket, the vision you can have in cricket, you can bring it into the rugby as well,
Yeah.
or into other football, and it's
Exactly.
all intersection.
Exactly, and it is very beautifully said. And even now, for all those parents who are out there, please open your ears for this one. And that is that, we emphasize so much on our kids getting good grades so that they can actually get their admission into other better universities across the borders. But now let me tell you that they even check whether, is there any sports you play and then what type of credits you carry within the sport. And you can get actually a sports scholarship and go study for free as well.
Exactly, because people are looking for fully rounded individuals. They don't just want someone who's, because you need to have emotional intelligence and intelligence, yes.
To tell you the truth, talking about this now, around 6 years ago, I went for an interview.
Yes.
And I was called for the second one. And when I was called, it was like, why did you not tell us you played rugby? Because our interviewer wants to know that, because that means you're a team player.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Amazing that
Okay.
is. Thank you very much for coming over. It was lovely having a conversation with you
Sahir,
guys.
if you want to just share any details about the rugby,
The first
the Pakistan
international rugby match taking place in Pakistan.
like the information about that and how they can contact you and any of the, Facebook pages you want to share, we'll play it as well.
Hello Islamabad and hello Pakistan. Pakistan Rugby League is playing against Italy Rugby League on Saturday, 18th November. The time of kickoff is 1 p.m. We wanted to fill the world famous Jinnah Stadium at Sports Complex, so we like to see you there. Come and support your team, and thanks to Italy Rugby. league to come down to Pakistan and make this happen.
Wonderful.
You can get in touch with us at our Facebook page, that is Pakistan Rugby League.
Okay.
Very nice.
Facebook.com/Pakistan Rugby League. Right,
Thank you.
yes.
Just a couple of Jinnah Stadium. Echo the words that Sahir just mentioned. Playing for the Tariq Niazi Trophy, which is
Yes.
really important to us.
Yes.
And also, sport goes beyond the try line. When you score a try, you have to go past this try line, and we say that. And both the Italia Liga and Pakistan are wearing the white ribbon. Our social charities that we're supporting: White Ribbon, Peace Matters, and Moonlight Trust.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Warren.
And Roberto.
I would like to invite even other sports team to come and see our sport as well,
Yeah.
and maybe to connect even with other countries would be lovely. As
Amazing.
well.
Wonderful.
Bluetooth connected.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck for the match to both teams. May I can't say may the best team win,
Sportsmanship.
but yeah, let's have a great game. And
Thank you very much, Lurf.
Okay, so all I wanted to say was that, we need to support our teams, we need to support our talent, and these are viable careers and opportunities for the future and for the youth of Pakistan. And it's not just, studies are very important, yes, but with sports, you get teamwork, it builds your character, you work with each other. The ego has gone down because it's not just about you, it's about taking everyone together, leave no man behind. And also, if you're feeling like an outsider, there's nothing like these kind of sports to make you feel like you belong inside the community, which also helps these extremist thoughts and all this intolerance and all this stuff that we do.
And
in
my
the
message
society.
is only for all those people who related to media, may it be print, may it be television, may it be radio, and that is that, we've hour-long shows dedicated towards cricket and hockey, and that's what we want to talk about, or PCB, and we keep on bashing them. What if we can probably take out 15 minutes and take a look around what's happening in the world in the field of sports as well? I think that's going to play a role for the startups.
Okay, and if you want any information about any of our guests today, any of the teams, anything about the match tomorrow, log on to our Facebook fan page,
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
World This Morning with Audi G.
our Daily Motion and YouTube page.
World This Morning.
And the repeat is
5
that.
past 11 p.m.
Have a wonderful day, and we will see you bright and early on Monday.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.